Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to Coffee and Commentary, a new segment of much-needed advice where we bring humor and perspective to current events and pop culture.
Hi, listeners. As you know by now, Julie and I are watching Sex and the City's new installment called And Just Like That, Season 2. After you listen, don't forget to follow or subscribe, give us 5 stars, and leave a review. Enjoy.
We're here with some coffee
And commentary.
iced lattes courtesy of Zinque.
Thanks, Zinque. We're here to review Sex and the City's And Just Like That, Episode 4.
Yep, we're still watching this show. Is anyone else watching it?
Does anyone else hate watching it with us?
It's not done anything good for us, but
It's only getting worse, but the commentary is getting better.
yeah,
So there's your silver lining.
it's better when it's bad, as we say.
This episode starts off with a cameo from Bobby Lee. I think what's confusing about this is that they're keeping him in the show, but gave him a part where he has to exit the scene almost immediately and makes a joke that isn't funny when his job is being a comedian.
Yeah, and Bobby Lee is really funny. I can't believe he wasn't like, I'm not saying this, it's stupid. His joke was, I broke my no hollandaise before noon rule. You paid Bobby Lee to be in that episode. Why didn't you let Bobby Lee be Bobby Lee and actually add something funny to your show that continues to miss?
Exactly. You would think if you hire a comedian who's an actual comedian, not just Che Diaz, then you would bring him into spicing up his own lines, punching them up a little bit. I wonder if he tried. So Steve is suddenly Rocky
Balboa.
with 0 body fat. After disappearing for the last 20 episodes, he comes back. The last thing we knew about Steve is that he wore a hearing aid. I feel like the writers felt guilty about making Steve so pathetic in season 1, and so they made him super ripped and no longer deaf, I guess.
Right, because he's hitting his speed bag and it's super loud and it's waking everyone up. So you think like, oh, because he's deaf, he doesn't realize how loud it is. But then he's still hitting it and Miranda comes by and says something to him in a normal voice and he's like, okay, got it. Over the sound, like...
They missed the obvious callback to the hearing aid.
Right. Can you do Steve? Please.
Miranda?
Yeah.
It was an interesting choice that they made Brady the opposite of Miranda. Like, they didn't go for mini Miranda. They went for the person who would be most likely to frustrate Miranda, and Miranda to be the person most likely to frustrate her son.
Mm-hmm.
He and Miranda, though, do definitely have a familial connection in that I don't want to see either of them have sex. Ever.
Yeah.
The lack of sexiness is hereditary. He got it from Miranda.
Not Steve. Steve's jacked. Let's talk about Enid, Carrie's old boss and mentor.
Enid is so mean. More mean than any successful woman in society would be.
She has kind of like socialite status and is trying to get money from all of these socialites for her new venture. Why are we supposed to believe these people would go to her party and support her business when she's such a biatch to everyone?
And why does Carrie keep coming back and being nice to her? Carrie doesn't need anybody. She's rich. I feel like she keeps forgetting that. She's rich, she's famous. Why does one mention on Enid's whatever new blog matter? Why does she have to keep being nice to this woman who's so horrible to her and everyone else?
Right, she pretends not to see her so she doesn't have to interact with her because she didn't send her condolences about Big. And then she also ignored her email about writing a blurb for her book. And this is supposed to be her mentee who's become really successful, which, like, as a mentor, that's your success too.
Right.
But now she's like, if I did a blurb for your book, I would have to do a blurb for everybody's book.
And then just because Enid found some dick pic on Carrie's phone sent by some other woman about some shitty man that's cheating on Enid because she sucks and he sucks, then all of a sudden it's up to Carrie to PayPal her $100,000 on the spot.
Is Carrie's book being featured on Enid's new website for women in their 70s going to lead to over $100,000 worth of book sales, past selling out her advance?
This is a straightforward business proposal. Carrie should be considering it like that, not that she owes this woman anything at this point.
I will say, though, it was funny that Enid kept saying her new venture was focused on women our age. Enid is 20 plus years older than Carrie.
And it is funny how not self-aware Enid is, almost to the point of having like a problem.
Yes, she's an ass.
That's her mental disorder. She's an asshole.
I've diagnosed it.
Thank you, Julia. Should we talk about how cute Charlotte and Harry are?
Yeah, Charlotte and Harry stole the show.
They had a great classic Sex and the Story.
Is that what our podcast should be called?
Sex and the Story. Sex and the where's the story in all this bullshit.
Yeah.
They had a great classic Sex and the City storyline with their where did the cum go conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
Their cum-nundrum. First of all, can you imagine calling Harry so fucking hot? But you know Charlotte believes it.
Yeah.
Because they're just so in love.
They have great chemistry, those actors.
And also, when Charlotte's trying to get Harry off, the dirty talk that she uses to get him to explode is, I love you so much.
It's so sweet.
It's so sweet.
And it's sweet that, like, as soon as they drop their girls off at camp, they're jumping right into bed.
That sexual chemistry that Charlotte finally found in the original series is this long-lasting thing. It's great.
I loved that in true Sex and the City fashion. We went from a sex scene and then cut to brunch with the girls discussing, which is like the classic format.
And I love that Anthony was one of the four at brunch talking about it. Mm-hmm. I think he was a great addition. This is what the Sex and the City series used to be. Talking about things that haven't been discussed before and normalizing them and making it okay to talk about and having the characters ask all the wrong questions and all the right questions and debating it and giving every perspective on it. Like, this is the juicy stuff. This is what we want more of. I want to cover more novel things that people are coming across in their sexual lives.
That's what we're here for. Yeah, I love that Charlotte loves
cum.
What can we say on TikTok?
Jizz?
We definitely can't say either.
Semen.
And not that either. Harry's juice.
So late.
Whatever we're gonna call it.
Confetti? Let's call it confetti.
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 I love that Charlotte loves confetti. Because it's so unexpected, because she can be so proper.
And that's so Charlotte too. I just recently rewatched the episode of Sex and the City from season 4 or something back in the day. It's the ass eating episode where all of a sudden Charlotte's the only one at brunch who loves eating ass. Even Samantha's like, oh, I would never do it back. And Charlotte's like, you wouldn't? We love when she surprises us.
So yeah, so they're having that conversation and then Miranda was like, wait, I haven't slept with a man for a while, but wouldn't it be better without confetti?
Carrie immediately is like, oh, that was our biggest clue that you're a lesbian. But why would that make someone gay?
It doesn't make any sense.
But the thing that was most unrelatable is that Carrie said she hadn't thought about confetti until now. There's no straight woman in the universe that hasn't thought extensively about confetti in her life.
Especially the author of the long-running sex column, Sex and the City.
I mean, the long-running joke of the whole thing is that she's a sex writer that
Is a prude.
that won't talk about sex.
Because then she's prudish again when she's at Che's new apartment and they're talking about sex stuff and she's like, oh, I better be going. It's like,
there's nothing more cringe than Che and Miranda talking about sex, except for Che and Lyle talking about sex. So that I get. I would want to leave the room too.
You wanted to leave the room when the Che and Miranda and Lyle sex scene came on.
I had to hide inside my shirt. My butthole went up into my body when that scene came on. And I had to swallow my own mouth. It was so heinous.
You just swallow your own mouth.
My whole body just imploded from both sides.
We know a lot about implosions.
We do. Go listen to our episode on the submersible implosion, please.
It was so gross. Nobody wanted it.
But one of the funniest moments of the whole series that wasn't supposed to be funny was Lyle waking up in the middle of Che and Miranda's hookup, peeking his head over Che's shoulder and smiling and looking at Miranda like...
And then just joining in. And then Che's like, you're cool with this, right? The undiscussed threesome.
Not okay.
No.
You don't do this to your significant other. You don't do this to anyone. You discuss this in advance, no matter how many threesomes you've had in your life. We get it. You're so sexually experienced, Che. You don't do this to your partner.
Especially not with your ex or your current husband. Aren't they still married?
Yeah. The premise of him even being in the bed, like it would be so bad to just tap him on the shoulder, wake him up and say, hey, can you move to the couch so I can sleep in my bed with my girlfriend? Which would have been the logical thing to do.
Let's talk about the couch. Just screw the leg back on.
It took everything in Julia's body to not
just screw it back on. You don't even need a tool. They're like, no, we'll just sleep on it like this.
Che, once again, is showing just how narcissistic they are with this whole scene, and also Lyle's story about how Che forced him into a bunch of sexual situations that he didn't want to be in either, but that he did it for their marriage.
Which he entered into out of guilt because they blamed him for cutting their hair for them losing a job.
Right. So this whole relationship with like huge red flags here about how toxic, once again, Che is and how toxic their marriage was.
Yeah.
And Lyle seems like a nice guy who then, after all of that, is just coming back into the picture to help them move across the country. Lyle, buddy, move on. There's got to be something better out there.
Yeah, what do you
Get divorced. So again, we're in a situation where Miranda and Che are together in the same room as Carrie, just like in season 1 when she couldn't move and they were hooking up in her kitchen. Now they're walking into Che's apartment. They start just making out without even introducing everybody to each other. And look, there's PDA. If you're in love and you're happy and you're in your bubble, live your best life. There's PDA and then there's rude. And it's enough. Even Courtney and Travis aren't this bad.
You've invited people to your house and then you don't greet them, you don't introduce them to the other person just standing there.
The level of obliviousness isn't like, oh, they're so in love. It's like, this is not how you treat your friends. And poor Lyle.
They have the same affliction as Enid. They're
Assholes.
Oh my gosh, we haven't even talked about the dumbest shit of all time.
Which part?
The anniversary dinner party that LTW and her husband threw, but forgot to send the invitation.
No, it didn't happen.
So they just assumed everybody was coming. Like, if you've ever had a dinner party or a wedding or anything, you need to know how many people are coming. That's how you know how many seats to put at the table and how much food to order.
Forgetting the cake, sure, we get that. But not checking the RSVP list before their big party?
That they obviously spent a lot of money on. It was lobster.
How expensive do you think that was per plate? Like a wedding?
Yeah.
Like 200 a plate?
Yeah. Because they had past hors d'oeuvres.
I feel like LTW and her husband are clearly so sophisticated, successful, poised, that's almost like they need to bring them down a notch in order to make them more relatable. But they go too far sometimes. Like, they make LTW look like Raggedy Ann.
Justice for LTW.
Talk about the anniversary outfit.
Well, why is her hair red? Why is it cut like that? Why do they always put red lipstick on her?
What is this triangle cut with bangs? No one can pull off bangs. Nobody except Dakota Johnson can pull off bangs. You have to have a hell of a forehead.
And like 2 French girls can pull off the French bob with bangs.
She's wearing a heart that's holding together
Pink,
a
like
cape.
a plastic heart brooch. All sequined white dress cape with like blotches of color on it.
They have her wear these dorky glasses sometimes that aren't dorky in a sexy way, they're just dorky.
They dress her cartoonish, and it's like, we know this isn't the only option because we see what you put Seema in. Seema looks good most of the time.
I feel like they just don't want her to upstage the main characters, which she so easily would because she's so beautiful, but I don't know. So the anniversary dinner is really a whole setup for the in-law conversation, right? Which leads to a change in Mr. LTW's job. But I want to talk about this. Obviously, both the in-laws are supposed to be ridiculous and mean. Cool. Revolutionary. But the criticism that LTW's father has of her husband is so strange. He calls him a highly paid centurion to the great god of Wall Street. Okay, so he's a banker. Which, by the way, earlier he said that what he was going to do with his spring break is pick up some pro bono cases. Listen, I'm not familiar with the industry, okay? But Wall Street guys do pro bono? Like, what does that mean?
Like they're investing someone's money pro bono. Like someone has enough money to invest,
right,
but not enough to pay the 1% or whatever fee.
Like, did they forget that he was a banker in the first part of the episode and then remember later?
So we were like, oh, is he a lawyer?
But no, so he's a banker, and then Harry comes in with this great joke about saying, I'm more involved with the redistribution of wealth. I'm a divorce lawyer. We love you, Harry. You're the only one coming in with the decent jokes. Thank you for that. So then the dad is saying he's morally superior to LTW's husband because he's a rich playwright, which is saving lives how?
I have questions. Is he rich from being a playwright, or is this generational wealth?
Either way, why is this a morally superior endeavor? Good for you. It's a creative pursuit. I love that for you. Why does it mean you're a better person? Also, you're putting down this man who is supporting your daughter and her whole family, and they're enjoying that wealth, possibly giving some money back to their parents who are enjoying that wealth, and so that LTW can pursue her art like her father. How would she be able to do that otherwise? Yeah. And she gets to make these apparently one documentary every 8 years that she gets to make. I just don't understand putting down your son-in-law for
being successful, like a good dad and a good husband.
Right.
He's not an artist. Like, who in history has wanted their daughter to marry an artist?
Like, good point. At the end of the day, would you rather your daughter marry a poor artist or a nice guy, but he's rich because he works on Wall Street? I don't know. But also, it's like, I would get it if he was like saving lives, like working for Doctors Without Borders, or he's
A social worker.
or like a social justice lawyer.
They're trying to do this like artists versus business people thing, but it's completely ignoring the context of the characters' lives, that it's like, why are you doing this? It would make sense if it was like artists versus, if it was like the strike right now, if he like ran a studio and was trying to exploit filmmakers.
Exactly.
He's just out there doing, you know, accounty stuff.
We have no idea what they do. We got it. Wall Street takes advantage of people. It's just so weird. He's doing.
Are we supposed
type,
to believe
type.
that that LTW's father doesn't have money invested too? Is that what we're supposed to believe? That he's made so much cash from writing plays and has
and
no
then he just gives it
investments?
all to the homeless, I guess, is what he does. He doesn't invest it. Thanks for bringing it home for us, Julia. That's where I was trying to get to. Should we do awards?
Let's do awards.
Should we do 1, 2, 3 awards?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3
Awards. Worst dressed, it's a tie. So the first contender is Carrie's pirate outfit when she's out to coffee with Seema. When she's wearing a full-on black pirate hat, pearls, and then her dress looks like the sail of the ship. The whole fit goes together, you know. For coffee.
The pirate hat was so distracting. I have no idea what they talked about at that coffee.
It's so silly. That it's a tie between that or LTW's dumb sequined plastic heart cape outfit for her 31-person dinner party that no one went to. Oh, should we do a best dressed?
Sure.
Off the top of my head, I really liked Carrie's dress at Enid's party. It was casual, but it just looked good on her because it was in her color analysis colors. She's a summer.
Also, when they're having the confetti brunch, Charlotte is in this blue blouse that really stood out. And I think it's because she's a winter and they don't put her in enough colors that go with a winter palette, but it really popped.
Yeah, they seem to want to always put her in warm pinks and reds and stuff, which don't do anything for her. She's a cool toned gal.
Yeah, she and Carrie both look good in cool tones. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't know about color analysis,
then you must not be on TikTok.
Do a deep dive. It's worth your time. Oh, we can do award for jokes that really didn't need to be explained. So this one is also a tie. The first one is when Bitsy Von Muffling, I keep wanting to call her Bitsy Von Muffling.
I keep wanting to call her Mitzi.
Ditzy Von Muffling. So she says, they call him the human tripod because it's like he has 3 legs. You didn't need to say the second part.
We know why. We know why.
Everyone knows
You
why.
didn't make up that joke. And even if you did, we can still understand it.
I don't understand who thinks we need all the jokes explained.
It drives me nuts.
But the worst offense was when they're trying to investigate the cum-nundrum and they're in the office with the doctor and the doctor says to Harry, ever heard of Kegels? By the way, what doctor is so flippant like that? Like,
With a power
this
bar in
doctor
his
really
mouth.
had a lot of sass.
He's like, ever heard of Kegel?
Anyway, Harry says, heard of them. It's all I eat during the high holidays. which is a great joke because Harry's funny. But then Charlotte has to explain the joke.
Charlotte goes, "No, honey, that's Kugel. He said Kegel." So are we meant to believe that Harry really thought the doctor was asking him about Kugel?
I feel like they're giving the audience zero credit.
Because they're probably like, well, anybody who would watch this show clearly knows nothing about humor.
And nothing about Jewish people?
So bad.
Jewish culture? Like, who do they think their audience is?
But then at the end, Enid says, "Are you shtipping my boyfriend?" And they don't explain
That's Yiddish.
Like, so everyone's supposed to know Yiddish but not get a Kugel joke.
There's been a challah, sourdough. They had a vay mitzvah. They had a trans rabbi. Like, it's okay. We're with it. You can trust us.
Stop
as an audience.
Jokes.
So this is the award for the TV show that Che Diaz has been in that I'd want to see even less than Che Pasa. And that is Funny Latina Ladies.
Yeah. Lyle's like, I met Che because they'd moved out to LA to be on the show Funny Latina Ladies. It's like the person writing that scene just wrote that in as like a placeholder. Like, I can't think about this name, just gotta get this dialogue out right now, and then forgot to go back and change it.
And that show got picked up.
Funny
is what they're saying.
Ladies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Che had to get rid of their Carrie Underwood hair. So are we supposed to believe that they had blonde, like big blonde hair?
I just pictured their Grey's Anatomy hair, which was luscious.
But black, why would they pick a blonde person
to compare her to?
Carrie Underwood isn't like
the only
famous
one
for her hair.
Like, there's not one brunette with nice hair you could have thought of for
Kim
a comparison.
Kardashian hair.
There you
Cher hair. Brooke Shields. Carrie Underwood, so random. That also felt like a placeholder. It's like Mad Libs. Wait, is this whole show Mad Libs?
That's a great
They're
theory.
Like, Che moved out to LA
yeah.
to be on the show, and then it's like name something in the room.
Yeah.
And then they told her, you need to get rid of your blank, any celebrity hair.
I think you figured it out. I think that's what's been happening with this whole show.
That's how they come up with everything in the show. They're like, Lyle, Che's blank, and then someone wrote husband. Wears a lot of blank, and someone wrote rings.
The writers are asking us to take a game of Mad Libs seriously as a TV show. In that case, it's hilarious. The joke's on us. That was a really good take.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, since we are an advice podcast sometimes, let's talk about the best advice of the episode.
Tell us.
It was when Seema told Carrie, don't be afraid to be transactional. Enid is a work contact, not a gal pal. And this is why Seema's such a boss.
This is why Seema has a driver.
This is why Seema has her own money and doesn't need no man.
All right.
I think that's it.
I think we covered it.
That's what we think. What do you think? DM us at much.needed.advice with your commentary. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.